Sometimes, an employee's poor job performance or behavior does not improve despite a manager's efforts to guide the employee to meet job expectations, and a more structured correction process may be needed. Engaging the progressive discipline process is the next step in seeking to bring the employee's performance up to standards. The goal of the progressive discipline process is the same as the goal of other positive performance strategies: to bolster job performance and support your employee's success in meeting expectations. Unless the offense is severe, an employee should be given an opportunity to correct the problem. The progressive discipline process is successful when the employee improves their job performance to meet the expectations of their position. The employee is given the opportunity to improve in each step of the progressive discipline process. Consequences are assigned when improvement does not take place, and the process progresses to the next step. Each step is associated with increasing consequences. Progressive discipline is a formal process and has specific steps, criteria, and documentation requirements. It is important to follow the requirements of each step when engaging the progressive discipline process. Failure to meet the requirements may result in a delay of disciplinary actions. After this module, links to resources and contacts supporting adherence to the progressive discipline process will be provided. Verbal counseling is considered an informal first step of the progressive discipline process. The goal of verbal counseling is to make the employee aware of the problem and give an opportunity to correct the problem and meet expectations. In the verbal counseling meeting, the employee receives clear communication outlining shortfalls, the criteria, and the timeframes for improvement. The conversation should be documented, and the documentation should be provided as a memo to the employee and kept in your records. Since counseling is informal, no disciplinary record from the meeting should be placed in the employee's official personnel file. If counseling does not result in the employee meeting performance standards or compliance with the rules, it is your responsibility to take the required disciplinary action following the guidelines of progressive discipline. As with the positive performance strategies discussed earlier, the formal steps in the progressive discipline process are also meant to support the employee to achieve and meet the expectations of their position. Each step has specific communication and documentation requirements. A letter of warning formally alerts the employee that he or she has continued to exhibit behavior or performance that falls below standards and has not improved in the required time frame as outlined in the verbal counseling session. The letter of warning informs the employee of more severe consequences should job performance expectations not be met. There is no set rule which dictates how much time you should give the employee after the counseling session before issuing a warning letter. The employee must be provided with a reasonable opportunity to show improvement and correct the performance problem. However, it may be appropriate to progress without waiting if the behavior that led to the progressive process is repeated immediately after being counseled. The next step of the formal disciplinary process is a suspension without pay. After the suspension, continue to provide guidance and feedback and communicate your standards and expectations in support of the employee's performance. Continue to document meetings, progress, and any actions you have taken to manage performance. Discharge is to be considered after previous attempts to correct the employee's behavior have failed. Documentation of performance management activity and actions taken in formal progressive discipline should be kept. The employee's previous disciplinary record should generally include a letter of warning and 3 suspensions administered through the progressive discipline process. Serious infractions may warrant discharge regardless of the employee's previous disciplinary history. Theft or acts of physical violence are examples of incidents that usually result in immediate initiation of the discharge process. If safety is at risk, contact the university police. Also contact the Labor and Employee Relations Office as quickly as possible after the incident for advice and counsel. Over the course of this module, we have learned that productive performance is a structured process that supports the performance of all employees, regardless of current job level. The success of your efforts relies on the fundamental habits of communication and documentation applied throughout the process. The components of productive performance are setting expectations to help your direct reports understand the requirements of their position, recognize when standards are met, and guide performance discussions throughout the year. Giving continuous, actionable feedback, supporting your direct reports by providing positive reinforcement and constructive guidance. Guiding professional development, helping employees identify and improve the skills they need to perform their current responsibilities and to prepare for future career goals. Supporting performance By working with an employee to improve performance levels that are below standards, by communicating clearly about what areas require improvement, and following progressive discipline when an employee continues to perform below the required level, and adhering to appropriate disciplinary procedures. It is essential to include documentation of every conversation about job expectations and performance that you have with your direct reports. Failure to document details early and often may frustrate or prolong future performance improvement or disciplinary efforts. As documents can also become public record in a court of law, it is important to keep clear, professional notes. Stick to the facts, do not record opinions, emotions, or comment on an employee's character.